Welcome to the People's Podcast, an employer's resource by Group Management Services. I'm your host, Alyse Kimble.
This podcast does not constitute legal or financial advice. Its accuracy, completeness, or adequacy is not guaranteed. Use the information at your own risk. Consult an attorney or financial advisor before taking any action.
From workers' comp and OSHA to compliance and safety programs and claims management, understanding risk isn't just for the big companies. It's essential for every business, no matter the size. And joining me today is Paul Aldrich, GMS's Director of Safety. He is going to be sharing practical insights to help you as a small business protect your people, your profits, and your peace of mind. So let's start, Paul, with the basics. When we talk about risk management, what does that really mean for a business?
Oh, it's so large, actually, but really risk management is identifying, assessing, and controlling your risk.
Okay.
So,
What goes into it? Like, are there different parts, when we say risk management, are there different parts of risk management?
oh yeah, I mean, all the way from insurances to, your workers' comp and anything that could, the fear of the unknown, really. When the way we started, and as far as, my safety team, that's my comfort zone, right? So my safety team's going to go out and do a risk assessment and really assess the risk, industry-specific risk, right? So we have so many different industries under our umbrella. There's so many different things and so many exposures of risk. We want to identify that risk and help our clients control it.
Love that. A lot of small business owners, especially those with maybe less than 10 employees, think that risk management might not matter to them. Why would they be wrong in that?
One wrong move could really set you back a long way. You have, especially a small company, if they have a catastrophic injury on something they weren't prepared for, the fines could be something that they wouldn't be able to pay. I mean, it could put them out of business, essentially.
Yeah, crazy. I actually pulled some stats. It's wild. So last year alone, 4.9 million claims.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? And then the average claim is around $50,000, which for small businesses, they don't have that extra cash.
Yeah, I mean, it happens so fast, and any business owner I talk to after something, an incident or a catastrophic injury, is always surprised, and I never thought, that's the old cliche, right? You never thought that was going to happen to me. Well, Unfortunately, it does, and it happens so quickly, and it's devastating, and it can devastate a small business.
Absolutely. I think it's more than, the having to pay the money. Of course, that's terrible. But you also have somebody who you probably know and care about deeply as a person who is injured because, maybe something wasn't put into practice that we should have put into.
You hit it right on the head. Any business owner I talk to, small business owners, they most of the time, if not all of the time, have a relationship with every one of their employees, especially these businesses that have been in business. And that's another thing, complacency. They've been doing this for 20 years and nothing's ever happened, right? Yeah. And they've been at 10 employees, and these guys know what they're doing, and they don't need safety training, and they've done things the certain way the whole entirety of their existence. Yeah. And it's that one time that something goes wrong and can set them back.
Yeah, absolutely. You never can predict those things. It's one bad off day, right?
Oh yeah.
Something like that happens, and it's just horrible. So GMS, I would say we kind of take a proactive approach, right?
Very.
To risk management. Can you walk me through what that really means?
I always tell all of our clients we're not box checkers. We don't just show up to show up. We want to make an impact, and if we're not making that impact and making changes, we're not doing our jobs. And when I call our clients to see how we're doing, and if there's anything we can improve on, I always get really positive feedback on, one of your guys was out here and they showed me something that I've been doing for years wrong. Wow. And it was insightful, and they appreciate it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I love that you're kind of calling and being proactive and kind of doing a little spot check there.
Always.
For businesses. When it comes to, now I know safety is a big part of the proactiveness. What are some other ways that we are actually kind of trying to get ahead of any maybe claims, injuries, incidents, like maybe walkthroughs? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it all is going to start, our relationships, especially on my end, is going to start with that risk assessment.
Sure.
We really need to find out, what it is they do on a daily basis to really point out where can we help, what can we do? We're always trying to think outside the box, and we can come up with things that, are a little bit, I don't want to call it unorthodox, but maybe not the norm, right? So I'm trying to think of an example, but, even if it's repetitiveness and, even the simplest things, if you raise a desk up 2 feet and that employee isn't bending over, 100 times a day,
Yeah.
Too far, then it could save a back injury. I mean, it's the smallest things, and, railings and ladder safety. There's so many different ways of looking at things. I mean, I can really get into the weeds on what we do to help control risk. But identifying it, again, at the beginning, we mentioned that identifying risk is going to be the biggest thing, and our guys can really see what maybe your average everyday person doesn't see,
Yeah. It's an extra set of eyes, right? Walking through the building that maybe we've kind of gotten blind to things because we see them every day.
Well,
and
yeah, and it's something else is that we do it every day.
Yeah.
We as my guys, myself, this is our job, right?
Yeah.
And we are looking out for things that most other people aren't looking out for. I'll spot something on a job site long before any layperson will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to have that extra set of eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. That extra help. So when it comes to safety trainings, what are some of the ones that are most asked for, most requested from either clients or maybe prospects of ours?
I would say the most common training we do is going to be fall protection.
Okay.
Right? So most companies, even in general industry, they are unaware they need fall protection, but in construction, it's 6 feet. Anything above 6 feet, you need fall protection.
Yeah.
General industry, it goes down to 4 feet. So,
Really?
right. So and people just don't realize. Again, that's that proactive thing, and letting people know what they really don't know. They only know what they know. That's a big one. Ladder safety training is also very big. Forklift training or pit training. And not only is it one of our most common, it's required by the federal government.
Wow.
It's just like having a license to drive a car. Slips, trips, falls, safe lifting. There's so many that we do, so many trainings that we conduct. And those are the top ones, fall protection, ladder safety. Most of our severe injuries are falls from ladders, believe it or not. Even 3-foot step ladders. You can have a pretty catastrophic injury. If an old guy like me falls off a 3-foot step ladder, there's something's probably going to break.
I feel like I would be sore for a few days for sure. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the relationship between risk and safety. And I feel like we talked about the proactiveness though. When organizations or companies are looking at a workers' comp solution, are they usually combined in maybe the general market out there? If you go to like a carrier, are you getting safety trainings for them, or are you having to go out on your own?
A lot of carriers do offer safety trainings.
Okay.
Risk and safety, I mean, they're depending on the type of risk you're looking at, right?
Sure.
So when you do evaluate that risk from the beginning, there's going to be some that the account managers are going to handle some of the risk. Our finance department's going to handle some of the risk financially, right? And my team's going to focus on, what risk they have as far as safety is concerned. So, evaluating, assessing, and controlling.
Yeah.
I guess it always comes down to that, right? So.
Good. So kind of all the departments kind of work together in that,
Yeah,
that
100%.
aspect.
Yeah.
Love it. Can we talk a little bit more about maybe some of the other things that might be good for organizations to bring in that maybe fall under the risk arm that they don't really know about, which is fleet tracking, workplace noise monitoring, those kind of things?
Yeah.
How could maybe noise, we'll start there, noise monitoring, how could that really help maybe a manufacturing plant make sure that they're just keeping their employees' safety front of mind?
Yeah, I mean, and again, over a certain decibel level, you need noise monitoring, right? So, in a lot of cases, it really, again, if I'm sitting here with you and we're walking through a warehouse and you can't hear me,
Yeah.
they probably need to evaluate and see if the decibels are above the limit of needing hearing protection.
Yeah.
And then everybody knows what happens. You get the old school guys that say, "I'm not going to wear that. I don't need hearing protection." And then when you're sitting there having a cup of coffee in the morning talking to that guy, he says what like 20 times because he can't hear you. So,
Yeah.
noise monitoring is important. We could talk a little bit about the fleet
Sure.
fleet protection, or I'm sorry, fleet
Tracking.
tracking. Yeah. When it comes to insurances, if you're controlling your fleet with a GPS, you can control it, right? The employees know that there's a GPS in the car, so it's in the back of their head that they're gonna probably be a little bit more safe, drive a little safer, and not, because if they go in and they get called to the office because they were doing 90 miles an hour, that's a problem. But the fleet tracking is something that we provide as well. Anything you can do to control any risk, and that fleet management is big. And I've seen actually insurances go down where typically when you're looking at car insurance, it always goes up every year. But if you have your fleet controlled with a GPS, there's a chance that your insurance can actually go down. And not if your insurance goes down, you're definitely controlling the risk in injuries and for motor vehicle accidents.
Absolutely. And cost, which is amazing for business owners too.
Yes, for sure.
So I actually saw some stats on that 10 to 50% reduction in fuel costs alone, which is interesting.
Yeah.
25 to 35% savings in maintenance cost, and then 40% fewer accidents with fleet tracking.
Yeah,
Great.
wow. I knew it was an impact, but those are
Yeah.
some pretty interesting numbers.
Pretty good to know, right? Workers' comp is one of those things that business owners hear about, know they need probably, but might not know a lot about. Why is it essential in protecting both the business and the employee?
Well, obviously, without employees, you're not doing your job, right?
Right.
And if you get somebody that gets injured and has lost time, then it's going to hurt the bottom line, right? So the most important part of any business is going to be the employees. And you want to protect your employees, and that's where your workers' comp comes. And again, it's not important until it's important. But if you're proactive, like we talked about in the beginning, and you're controlling that and understanding that, then you've taken the first step. I always tell all of my clients, I'm going to be as involved as you want me to be involved, and it's only going to work if the owners have, are bought in. If the owners aren't bought into the safety and to running trainings, then the employees aren't going to be bought in.
Yeah.
So if the owners aren't listening, the employees aren't listening. So again, production is important, but making sure you have the workforce there to do it is more important.
Absolutely.
And making sure everybody goes home in one piece, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something a lot of business owners don't think about. Workers' comp is usually just something it's a checkbox, right? Item that they have to have. But when you really look at it as, hey, this keeps uptime high in my organization, this keeps costs low, but also too, at the end of the day, this protects my employees who hopefully they genuinely care about.
99.9% of the time they do.
Yeah, good.
And if you don't, I'm not going to get into that. But the business owners care about their employees.
Yeah.
They want to make sure everybody goes home to their families. Family-orientated business, that's what it's all about. And at the end of the day, everybody makes money, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the goal, right?
I
We all
would
want to
hope.
make money, save money, and continue to do the things that we're doing well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Last question for you, Paul. What's one thing about risk management that business owners often overlook, but maybe really need to know about?
knee-jerk reaction is the fear of the unknown. It could be anything, right? And again, you're not going to know unless you have that extra set of eyes, in my opinion. A lot of times when we do these risk assessments and we point something out, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I was doing it wrong, right? For 17 years, I was in construction and I moved heavy equipment. And it was 12 years into doing and moving heavy equipment from Ohio to Michigan to Detroit, I realized I was strapping my loads down wrong. I was doing it wrong.
Yeah, you could have killed somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not going to get into detail on how I was doing it wrong. And it's hard to admit that I was doing it wrong. And that's another big thing is you've done things so often, so frequently without incident. You don't think about it. It's just, it's every day. It's not a problem. I've done it like this 1,000 times. But when somebody points something out to you and you see what it really means, then you're like, I cannot believe I did that. And now it's almost like, why would you do that? It's stupid, right? But no, it's one of those things that you're taken aback by the fact that, wow, I was really doing this wrong for 12 years.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big lights in my whole career, that even though it's so small, but it could have been so catastrophic had things gone wrong, and thankfully they didn't.
Some Final Destination stuff.
Oh my Lord, it wasn't good.
But I think that just really puts a pin in the fact that education is so important. Training is so important to making sure that just things are done the correct way, the right way, to make sure everybody, like you said, goes home.
Absolutely.
Good. So that wraps up today's podcast on risk management with Paul Aldrich. If you are a small business owner, remember, risk isn't something to fear, it's something to manage. Taking a proactive approach can help you save time, money, and headaches down the road. If you want to learn more about how GMS is really helping business owners stay compliant, be proactive with their risk management, please visit us at www.groupmgmt.com or reach out to one of our sales representatives. We'd be happy to help. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more tips on how we are helping business owners thrive. Until next time, stay safe and stay successful. Thank you for tuning into the People's Podcast. We hope you found today's discussion helpful. Stay tuned for more insights in our next episode. For more expert guidance and resources on small business management, POs, and more, give our podcast a follow. Find us on social media or visit us at groupmanagement.com. That's groupmgmt.com. We're dedicated to helping small businesses everywhere make their operations simpler, safer, and stronger.